Okay, so there's our textured football field, and we're still in the setup scene. Okay, so this is why it was nice that this is just one object, because we're not moving those different elements. I'm going to press 4, get to my perspective view, and you can see our lights right in front of us. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and let's go to items and clone. Okay, so I've selected my football field. Okay, just you got to remember this. Whatever you're doing, you're going to select something, a camera, a light, an object, and then choose a tool. So I've selected the object, then I choose clone, and let's do 7 clones. It gives us 8 football fields total, and they're all right on top of each other. Okay, and what we can do is just go like this. I'm going to zoom way out, and we're going to put one way up here like this. Okay, and auto key is on, so when I move this, it's going to stay in place. Use my down arrow to get to the next one, and I'll line it up like that. Use this arrow like that, and I will move this back over here. Another one back this way. Another one up here. Another one, and I'm just using my arrow to cycle through these. And I think this is the last one. Let's put this one over here. Just going to space these out relatively evenly. And yeah. Okay. Actually, I think we got 7 for some reason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we have 8. Okay. All right. So there's that. I'm going to save the scene. Now, these don't all have to be the same size because our camera, let's get to our camera view. When we animate our camera, we're going to be flying all around in here, which is kind of cool. So when we do that, we're going to want to be able to see some of these in the distance, like this. Okay. So what I like to do is take some of these and size them up. So just do a Shift H for size, and you can size some of these. They can actually move it down. What's that green arrow? There we go. Like that. Another thing we can do with some of these is we can rotate them. There's no reason they have to be flat. Okay. Now, to get this exact, come down here to your numerics and just even it out. So -90. Okay. And if you hit it again, you create a motion key, but auto key is on, so it's going to do it for me. And we'll come back to our perspective view here. And you can do this with some of the other ones. Again, we'll just Shift H, and maybe we can move that down a little bit. This one we can move over, and let's rotate this one forward like this. I'm going to grab the green handle and pull it forward. That's pitch. We'll go -90 just to even it out, like that. Shift H, and we'll size that a little bit. And I think that's okay for now. We'll size some of these up. You know, these are all going to be adjusted one way or another as we move on throughout the scene, as we set up our motions. Okay, but this guy here in the center at the 0, that's going to be our main field right there. That's where we're going to put our title at the end. Okay, and what I might need to do, I'm going to make this 90. I'm going to make a copy of this and take the numbers off, because we're going to put our fonts on there. So we're going to need to change that. But right now, let's do this. Open the camera properties. So select camera, open the properties panel, and I'm going to choose use globals. Okay, and what that's doing is telling Lightwave, don't use the resolution and settings and everything from in here. Rather, use them from the Render Globals panel. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that way everything's in one place. My scene length, which actually I'm going to make about 450. The reason being is because even though our animation is going to be 10 seconds, we're going to let it hang for a little bit at the end. You always want to give your editors a little bit of beginning and end so they can get out. I've seen way too many animations that just start and quickly end. You always got to leave a little heads and tails on them. And from in here, we can set our resolution to D1. All right. And then for our rendering, we've got those. And our filtering looks good. We're going to leave that off right now. Okay. The only other thing I need to set in the camera properties is, I'd mentioned this earlier, was this lens focal length. And this you do from the camera properties. I'm going to make this a little wider. It's just by dragging it down like that. And I like the wide angle on stuff like this because it just creates a little more dynamic look. Okay, so like here's that other field right up there. You can see the other ones down here. And so as we add more elements and you see all these, it's just going to look really cool, especially when the transparency's there and we start adding some light. Okay, so we're going to focus around the 0, 0 axis. I like this one up here. That's pretty cool. Let's take this guy, and I think we should move him down like that. And again, we're at 0. I'm going to go back to my camera and rotate my camera around. I've got some back here. So I think that's okay for now. I'm going to want one more football field that will be just blank. So let's do that. I'm going to select this football field right here, if I can. Just click on it. Then click on Modeler, and it'll jump us in there. So here's football field 2. I'm going to copy this whole thing. So Command-C, Shift-N, make an entirely new object, and paste it down. Okay. Then do this. Press W for statistics. Choose your XO from the surface drop-down and click the plus. That's an easy way to select all those, and just delete them. Then Control-S and call this empty football field, something like that. And you can send object to layout. Okay, and there's that empty one dropped right in the center. So let's go to perspective view here, make things a little easier for us. Let's take this other one and we'll just move it down. Keep that right underneath. In fact, you know what we could do? It'll look cool. We're going to mirror. We're just going to keep it underneath there like that. And then we'll take this field right here and we're going to rotate it. And let's just make it numeric, nice and easy, 90 degrees. Okay, so now you've got that field under that one. And if you want, you can move that under a little like that. Okay, that'll create a nice look for us when we put our station logo right up on here. Okay, because we're gonna come up and we're gonna end right on here like this. Okay, and there's our X's and O's. So let's add a few more elements. Save the scene. Items. Object. Let's do the dashes last because I want to add these trusses. Let's add a single Z truss. Okay, which is cool. Puts it right down the center for us. We're going to move that over. Let's put that down there like that. Take a look at our camera. That looks good. So when we move around, you can actually see that flying right there. Good. Okay, now here's one thing I'm going to do as well. Notice that my light is really huge compared to the rest of the scene. And look at how small the objects look in comparison to the grid. That's because my grid is set to 10 meters. That's Lightwave's world unit of measurement. So just hit your left bracket key. See that? Now my grid square is 1 meter in size. That means every square is 1 meter. Okay, so I've effectively changed the world measurement in Lightwave. I haven't changed the size of the light. You can't really do that. And that allows me to actually move around a little bit more precisely, which is what I want. Okay. And quick mention here. See how the light hits the side of these objects? Because we had rounded them, put bevels on. That was the whole point. You can even see these little dashes here. They don't just stop and are square. They have just a little bit of detail. Okay. So here's this truss. That's pretty cool. I can just Control-C to clone it, which is kind of nice. I can clone of that. I can put it right up here if I want. Don't forget, you can always go to perspective view. Now, one thing I should point out, I think I really should, I am not a designer at all. And I always tell my clients that. So generally, they usually come to me with storyboards. You know, they'll have a logo pre-made. They'll have a storyboard and idea already fleshed out. And I almost sounded Canadian. I sounded Canadian right there. They have a storyboard fleshed out, and I just build it. I bring it to life. So, with that said, don't judge me by my lack of creativity here. But I'm going to show you how to do this so that you guys who are designers will have no problem building this stuff. Okay, so those don't really have to attach. In fact, you can mess it up a little too if you want and just keep it like that. Something different. All right, and you can clone this one. Let's take a look at it from the top view by pressing 2 on our keyboard. And we can move that one way over here like that. Take a look at it from the side view by pressing 1. Move it over. Okay, so everything's starting to gather around. Back to your camera and rotate. Everything's starting to gather around this front area here. Because again, our main title is going to be right there, which we still have to build. But with this guy, we can just kind of move him here. And don't forget, you can size these as well. Let's add one more. Let's add our big square. Our square truss. Okay. And I'm going to look at that from a perspective view. I'm going to rotate it. Make it a nice even 90 degrees. Zoom it in. Pull this over. Kind of like that. And see how it looks from the camera view. See? That's cool. It's just in there. Just another element. And you go to objects, you can actually move it down. And I'm going to put one way over here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this way over here. Control C to copy. Just make one copy. Move this here. Maybe one right there. Control C will copy another one. And let's take a look at our perspective view. And we'll put one like way over here. Control C, enter to copy another one. This one will just rotate 90 degrees. Then press T for move, and we'll move this over this way. And don't forget, here's the other thing, is that we made all these football fields just kind of this glass, this shiny reflection. Well, guess what? They're going to reflect all of this too if it's stuff floating above. There we go. Okay. So now we're starting to build this really cool looking, little virtual environment, with these weird looking truss things. And, we'll have to create some more out there. But overall, it's looking pretty good. Now, you know what I might want to do? Go to render, render globals. And I think under the general tab, I'm going to make this a widescreen. I'm going to go 1.2. And what that does is basically create a letterbox. So we're still D1, but it's going to give it more of an HD look, which actually would probably be a smart idea given today's technology. And we might want to end up going a little bit wider. But for now, that's pretty good. Let me do a little render here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use F prime, and this is why it's good. Because it'll give us a little quick preview. It might be a little too much for it, but we'll see. We'll see. And it does kind of a quick little preview render, but it's a little difficult with the transparency. And perhaps that's where you might want to come in and just really use we'll just use the Lightwave render. So that's F9 right there. And I'm going to let this finish. We'll move on to the next video and show you what this looks like.